Hi, fellow Texans. I'm Craig Boyan, president of HEB. I'm here in one of our great stores in Brownsville, Texas today, and we're going to cover a couple of important topics that you've written us about or comment to us on social media. And now I'd like to chat with B. Lopez, top store leader here in Brownsville. B, let's talk about what we're doing on sanitation and social distancing. What would you tell folks about what that means and what we're doing at HEB to keep people safe?
Thank you, Craig. It surely is the most important thing we're doing here at HEB right now. We've always taken sanitation seriously, and we're now sanitizing the store multiple times per day. We're all practicing good hand washing practices, and we've created a COVID Action Manager, or a CAM, role in each store. The CAM is responsible for total store sanitation, partner sanitation, and managing social distancing and the number of people in our stores at one time.
B, people want to know why we have lines outside our stores and making people wait to come in, especially in the mornings.
Well, by now you've likely seen that we are managing how many people can be in the store at one time. And we are holding people outside and allowing only a certain amount into the store as the day progresses. It's critical for us to not overcrowd our stores and keep you and others safe. I know this isn't normal, but we're asking you to have just one person per household shop the store. We're also moving from 3 feet to 6 feet, social distancing between people in our lines, and we'll be managing our lines and the front door to allow proper 6 feet social distancing in our stores. We have installed plexiglass partitions for our checkers and pharmacies, and we'll soon be adding additional protective fixtures behind each checker to help each other and everyone stay healthy. And in our curbside business, there's no need to get out of your car. Please pop the trunk from inside your car and we'll load your groceries. If we need to communicate with you, we'll now do it from the passenger side, and if not, from a safe distance so everyone is safe. You don't need to sign for your order, so this will be a contactless pickup. And if you're getting a delivery, we'll notify you when we're there and we'll leave your groceries at your doorstep.
Thank you, B. Those all sound like really wise steps to keep everyone safe. So what do our customers now need to do differently? And what do we all need to do differently during this crisis?
Texans, we're a culture that loves to hug, shake hands, or to fist bump. We must slow the virus, and the only ways we can do this is through thorough hand washing, with soap and hot water for 20 seconds, and by social distancing, and by staying at home as much as possible to slow the spread of the virus.
Thank you, B. Really well said. And we must all take these sanitization, social distancing, and stay-at-home policies very seriously. It literally will help save lives and keep our healthcare system from being overrun. If we act now, we can avoid the terrible outcomes that are now occurring in other countries like Italy and Spain. Together, we will get through this. So let's continue to help #SlowTheSpreadTexas. Thank you, Texans. Together, we will overcome.
everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Kingwood Bizcom. I know this looks a little different than normal, but we've got a lot of valuable information for you today. I will be hosting this. My name is Jennifer Carney, and I'm the owner of Carney's Tutoring Kingwood. Our presenting sponsors today are Fountainwood at Lake Houston and HCA Houston Healthcare Kingwood. Our gold sponsors are HEB Kingwood, HEB North Park Drive, McDowell Pine Interest, McCord Development, Generation Park, Whataburger, and Humble, and Insperity. Our silver sponsors today are K&S Sportswear and MD Anderson Cancer Center. So thank you to all our wonderful sponsors. First up today, we're going to kick this off with U.S. Congressman, 2nd Congressional District, Dan Crenshaw, with some very important information. Dan?
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. I wish it was under better circumstances. I wish we were talking about the same subject we would have been talking about even just a few weeks ago, which was how great our economy was doing, and how we keep breaking new records. And of course, nature didn't see fit to allow that to continue to happen, and we have a pandemic now that has forced us to basically shut down our own economy and prevents money from flowing to the different sectors of the economy. We've told consumers to stop spending money and to stay at home instead, and we've told businesses to shut their doors and therefore stop taking in revenue. So obviously that has serious consequences, really unlike any other economic crisis we've ever had before. And this particular economic crisis is not due to bad decisions made by businesses or industries or really anybody. It's due to a pandemic. And as such, it takes a unique set of solutions that aren't necessarily the same as a classic stimulus package. And I think that's what the $2.2 trillion package you saw, that was the goal it sought to accomplish. Part of that bill was, of course, small business help, which I think a lot of you will be the most interested in. So $350 billion for small business loans, much of which can be forgiven and it is meant to cover for an 8-week period. There's also $500 billion for distressed industries, so our bigger business sectors. Those are just loans, not to be forgiven. There was more generous unemployment packages for nationwide, $600 extra per week for people who claim unemployment, and also direct cash payments to Americans, which was a little bit more of the classical stimulus kind of package. How efficient that is at actually helping the economy, I'm not so sure. It means a lot of people got more money than they needed, and a lot of people got less money than they needed. So, but in the case of emergency, we decided to swallow that and let that get passed, so that we could really inject fuel and capital into American businesses. Because the main goal here of every policy going forward, while we keep the economy on sort of a lockdown, is to keep employees attached to their employers. We don't want to sever that tie. We want to press pause, but make sure that we can unpress pause in a month or two and get back to normal as quickly as possible. And the best way to do that is to give businesses the capital they need. So I start with that because I want to give you the overlying logic and philosophy behind what we're doing. Now, of course, this help hasn't gotten to American businesses fast enough, obviously, and Americans are already suffering. We're almost up to 10 million nationwide, 10 million unemployment claims. Every indicator is well down. I don't have to read them all for you. It's all bad, and we know that already. Whether it's unemployment claims or businesses going under, or GDP expectations, it's all much lower than it would have been. We know that. So we've got to make sure that when we come out of it, we're just as strong as we used to be. I think we're going to start off with a bunch of frequently asked questions. So that maybe once we get to our own Q&A, maybe some of these will have already been answered for you. So here's regarding the small business relief and the Paycheck Protection Program. What is the application deadline for the Paycheck Protection Program? recommend that you start talking to your local lenders immediately about that. There are sample applications already out there that you can look at and start having that conversation with them. Any pre-qualified lender can do this, and they don't have to go to the SBA to do it. So it should happen a lot faster. They should be able to give you that money right then and there. Which answers the next question: where can I apply for the Paycheck Protection Program? Again, existing Small Business Administration lending program, and additional lenders that are approved by the Department of Treasury. So there should be most of the places near you that can do this. Who is eligible for the loan? You are eligible if you employ 500 employees or fewer, and if your business is an industry that is an employee-based size standard through SBA that is higher than 500 employees. Also, if you're a restaurant, hotel, a business that falls in this category of Code 72, the North American Industry Classification System, which basically means accommodation and food services. So that means we're trying to capture some of these local restaurant chains that might have a total employee base of more than 500 people, but at each restaurant it's obviously fewer, so we should capture them into this loan program as well. If you're an independent contractor or gig economy worker, are you eligible? Yes. Sole proprietors, independent contractors, gig economy workers, this is like Uber drivers, things like that, and self-employed individuals are all eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program. What is the maximum amount that I can borrow? The amount any small business is eligible to borrow is 250% of their average monthly payroll expenses, to a total of $10 million. And so this is intended to cover 8 weeks of payroll expenses and additional amounts for making payments toward debt obligations. That 8-week pay period may be applied to any time frame between February 15th and June 30th. Seasonal business expenses will be measured using a 12-week period beginning February 15th or March 1st, whichever the seasonal employer chooses. How can I use the money to ensure the loan will be forgiven? So the amount that may be forgiven is equal to the total expenses for payroll and existing interest payments on mortgages, rent payments, leases, and utility service agreements. Payroll costs include employee salaries up to $100,000, hourly wages and cash shifts, paid sick leave or medical leave, and group health insurance premiums. So some of the guidance that came out from Treasury after we passed this confused a lot of businesses. It said that what they expect because of the high demand, that basically 25% could only be used for non-payroll expenses, and that 75% would have to be used for payroll expenses in order to be forgiven. They seem to have given that guidance because of the high expectation of demand, and they're going to run out of money too quickly otherwise. So there was some confusion on that and some consternation. And that's why. Keep in mind, though, also that even if not all of it's forgiven, you're still looking at a 0.5%, a near zero interest rate. So it's still a pretty good deal. And again, most of that the entirety of the payroll gets forgiven. When is the loan forgiven? The loan is forgiven at the end of the 8-week period after you take out the loan. Borrowers will work with lenders to verify covered expenses and the proper amount of forgiveness. What is the covered period of the loan? The covered period extends from February 15th to June 30th. Borrowers can choose which 8 weeks they want to count towards the covered period, which can start as early as February 15th. So, again, this is specifically designed as a pause in the economy. The whole goal is that after 8 weeks, we're effectively back to normal. What I push for as a general strategy is, the way I talk about this is, I want, as a country, or at least as Texas, because we don't have the same problems as New York, and frankly, I don't think we will, for a lot of reasons. New York, they live right on top of each other. We don't. And they have a ton of international travel, more than we do. It's not surprising that became the epicenter of the pandemic here in the United States. And so I don't think we'll see those same kind of issues. And I encourage our governor and our mayor to start moving towards from a risk containment strategy to a risk mitigation strategy, where we can target and protect our most vulnerable population make sure that we have enough PPE and ventilators to go around, hospital beds, be prepared in case there's outbreaks, but for the most part, let people get back to work and get our economy back up and running, because we do risk hurting our society far worse than the pandemic ever could. And that debate will continue to be had. And so this is designed as a pause. This is designed with an end goal in mind, which is we're back up and running. I would hope after the end of April. And of course, the data will drive that decision, but that would certainly be my hope. And I keep encouraging a hard timeline that we stick to, so that we can give businesses like yours some predictability. Next question: how much of my loan will be forgiven? And if you keep all of your employees, a portion of the loan used for payroll and other covered expenses will be forgiven. I understand that's a little bit contrary. That was the intent of the legislation. I understand it's slightly contrary to what Treasury is putting out now. And for right now, we have to stick with what Treasury is putting out. So basically, 25% of that forgiveness can be used for other than payroll expenses, as per the guidance that they've just put out. That maybe that can be worked around, but I would listen to that guidance for right now. If you still lay off employees, the forgiveness will be reduced by the percent decrease in the number of employees. If your total payroll expenses on workers making less than $100,000 annually decreases by more than 25%, loan forgiveness will be reduced by the same amount. If you've already laid off some employees, you can still be forgiven for the full amount of your payroll costs if you rehire your employees by June 30th. So that's an important point, I think. And of course, we can, a lot of this stuff, a lot of these answers are already out there. If you haven't seen them, they're probably on my website, crenshaw.house.gov. So, and if you're not seeing them there, we can get them to you. The other part of the bill was the loan to distressed industries. This was the one that was very controversial, unnecessarily so, in my opinion. But here it is. It's $500 billion to an exchange stabilization fund, which is basically an emergency reserve fund that provides the Treasury Secretary with the authority to distribute emergency funding, and then special sections of money for air carriers and businesses critical for national defense. This was called a bailout. This, of course, is not a bailout. It's not the right way to think of this. It's not even the right way to. The stimulus is not the right way to think of this. It's an economic sustainment package. And again, the businesses didn't do anything wrong, and so all of the talk of bailouts and corporate slush funds is just utter nonsense. And it's really hurt our national discourse when that kind of stuff got thrown around as much as it did. So those are just loans. That $500 billion is just loans. Let me see if there's any other questions here. What does legislative follow-up look like for Phase 4 recovery efforts? Well, it doesn't right now. We have to focus on implementing Phases 1 through 3. And there's a lot of ideas of what a Phase 4 might look like. In my opinion, that has to come a lot later. That would have to be a true stimulus after we've got the economy back up and running. Right now, we're in economic pause. Given that the House and Senate are both out of session until late April, how is adequate oversight of the $2 trillion relief package being properly conducted? It is. We have daily conference calls with different agencies and the administration, and oversight is, of course, a big topic. It's complicated, and it was done in an emergency setting. So, it's of course going to be an issue for all of us. And just because we're not in session doesn't mean that we can't engage in proper oversight. I would also say, here's another question.
I have a couple questions coming in. So one from Tracy Ironside says, self-employed. If you're self-employed with no employees, do you apply tomorrow or you wait? Is it next Friday?
Well, like I said earlier, so you are eligible, and I would have that conversation with your bank sooner than later. I would. The sample applications are out there. where we're encouraging people to start that conversation with your local bank.
Okay, thank you. Another one from Audra Blakely says, I don't do payroll for my self-employed business, no employees except myself. I simply take a draw from my business checking. How do I prove salary payroll for the forgiveness to prove that?
Yeah, I had a feeling some of these extremely specific questions were going to come up, and my answer is going to be the same as the last one. Go talk to your bank about this. And, I won't be, I will just be honest with you guys right now, I won't be able to answer your very specific application questions. But I'll give you kind of the broader overview. But in that particular case, go have that conversation with your lender immediately, sooner than later.
Okay. Another one from corporations getting $5 billion in relief funds, used to borrow trillions more. Are we risking another 2008 where companies were bailed out without ethics?
Okay, this is actually the question that I had on my screen too, and I was about to answer. I don't think that's the right way of thinking about this. This isn't anything like the 2008 bailout, which was a true bailout because, well, first you have to understand what happened in 2008. A lot of people made bad decisions. Homeowners made bad decisions. They took out mortgages they should never have taken out. They can't afford those mortgages. And they bailed out on those mortgages, and then banks were in a bad spot, and then investors who bought into those mortgage-backed securities were in another bad spot on top of that. A lot of people made bad decisions, and the bailouts back then were designed to prop up a financial system that itself had made bad decisions. And you can agree with that or not agree with it. But the TARP program that was designed afterwards was implemented fairly well. Were there a couple problems? Yeah. But overall, the taxpayer made money on that bailout program. I don't think that information gets out to people enough. We made money. The taxpayer made money because those loans had to be paid back. And so we learned a lot too by some of the smaller mistakes made in that oversight framework, and we're using those same lessons now. It'll be complicated because there's a lot more industries involved than just the financial industry. But I just push back on the premise of that question. It's just comparing apples to oranges. And there's this, as I noticed as this debate went on, there's a strange populist anti-corporate sentiment in America, and it comes from the right and the left, and it's very strange to me. People who get laid off from a big business are still your fellow Americans. They're no different from people who get laid off from small business. And so this notion that we should not have provided another loan program to the bigger business side is absurd to me. In a case like this, they didn't make any bad decisions. We have a virus that is going across America, so it's extremely necessary. Keep in mind too, for the $500 billion economic support fund, there's also a special inspector general that has the ability to investigate the sale of loans, loan guarantees, and any other investments made by Treasury. There's parameters put on those loans, such as no stock buybacks. You gotta keep your payroll, and you can't increase pay for executives. Those kind of things were in there. They were always in there. By the way, even after my friend Nancy Pelosi blew up the entire deal, those protections were already in there. So it was very frustrating to see that stuff get delayed, but we won't get into that. What's the next question?
Okay, I love it. A question from Warren Cornet. A requirement by OSHA to issue an emergency regulation on the kind of protective equipment in public health we should be overall considered essential or not included. Is or will this be addressed?
You're breaking up, but I do have that question, so I think I know what you're asking. Yeah, and so we have to protect our frontline healthcare workers. They're bravely fighting this epidemic. there have been talks about OSHA regulation, which currently don't include a standard to address airborne infectious diseases. There is concern about getting it right, making sure it's actually based on sound science. Again, we don't want to remove resources from those who really need it. That's part of the reason that we were always telling everybody, don't go out and buy a bunch of masks, because we foresee this shortage for our healthcare workers. There are some who want OSHA to adopt an emergency temporary standard to get regulations on the books, both for doctors and nurses and other essential workers like pharmacists and grocery store workers. So basically, there is no final answer to that.
Okay. Another question from Christy Bonsack. Is there any help with nonprofits? Really willing to see that it goes through.
You're breaking it up, but I did hear nonprofits, and nonprofits, churches, they are included in the payroll protection program. Does that answer the question? Because I couldn't hear the full question.
Yes. Is there any, are they covered in that program?
They are covered.
Let me see. Okay. Do we have any more? No.
No, I can't hear anything. I'll get another way to. Is there a way you can chat with me and text me that next question?
Yes. Let me. Yes. Okay, yes, I will send it to you. I'm just going to send you these questions. I sent you over a couple that we've been receiving.
Okay,
One
so
I think you kind of already answered was about the
and that's true. So that's more of a statement than a question, and it is true. I'm hoping to get the details worked out as soon as possible. Application, and because going on with some banks, as the banks try from Treasury, banks are worried that they'll basically be paying more a higher interest rate on the loans than the interest rate that they themselves can charge. And we're trying to demonstrate to them, and Kevin Brady was really involved in this as well, trying to demonstrate to them that's not really the case. The banks do still get a fee, and it's 100% guaranteed by the federal government, and you get to keep your customers alive. So, feel free to put pressure on your local banks if they're giving you trouble. I mean, we all have to work together on this. This is we have seen we have seen some indications of this, that banks are scared and reluctant, and freezing up their loan capabilities so far. But that conversation is ongoing, and everybody's trying to figure it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Do you have any other final thoughts to leave us with?
We are all in this together, and I think Houstonians are pretty good at recognizing that and helping out each other where we can. Let's encourage each other to continue using each other's businesses as long as they're open, whether it's takeout or whatever it is. I know that's my big focus. I see our case numbers of the pandemic. I follow those daily here in Houston. They're very low. They're very low compared to the rest of the country. They're rising slightly. Then they would fall slightly as far as number of increases. But we've had very few deaths, and I think there's a lot to be said about this sort of stay-at-home order that we're doing right now. It does slow the spread and put some light at the end of the tunnel. But I will be pushing for more of a risk mitigation strategy so that we can get our economy back up and running as we battle the pandemic. We have to be able to do both at the same time, and I greatly worry about our outlook if we don't try to do that and start to target our efforts a little bit more. Governor Abbott, I think, understands that. He's certainly doing that. For instance, he's forcing people traveling from Louisiana into quarantine. That makes a lot of sense. We should be looking for solutions like that allow us to get back to our normal lives while also targeting the pandemic as well. Perhaps we tell people with pre-existing conditions and old age that they have to stay at home. I mean, if you look at the numbers in New York, the number of deaths, it's overwhelmingly tiny number for people who are in good health. Overwhelmingly, it's people with a set of pre-existing conditions, things like diabetes or heart disease or kidney disease or asthma, things like that. These are the people that risk, and so we when we have this knowledge, we can use it and we can strategize accordingly. And I worry about our economy a great deal. I'm worried about our energy industry to an enormous extent. We didn't really talk about that, but a lot of your customers, if you're not in the energy industry yourselves, a lot of your customers certainly are. And this has massive effects on the Texas economy, and unfortunately, the political climate is all anti-oil and gas. And so we're talking to the president about this. The industry is has a meeting with the president either today or tomorrow on this subject, and what kind of diplomatic pressure we can put on Saudi Arabia and Russia to get them to play ball and stop pouring supply into the world markets and lowering prices on our oil and gas industry, which will potentially put them under forever. So there's a lot of battlefronts that we're fighting. We're definitely aware of all these issues and doing our best to come out on the other side.
Yes, well, thank you for my valuable information. Thank you for taking time today to join us and share all your thoughts with us. Thanks for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so
Bye.
Next up, we're going to have Jenna Armstrong. Thank you. Next up, we're going to have Jenna Armstrong. She is the president and CEO of the Lake Houston Area Chamber of Commerce. Jenna, make sure you unmute yourself.
Thanks for the tip. Thank you everyone for being here with us today. I really appreciate you taking a break from watching Tiger King today to join us and get some valuable information. I'm going to go quickly through what we've been working on here at the Chamber and what we've got in place to help you currently and what's coming up that you can expect. Our Chamber staff is working remotely right now, but we are still working. So call us. We've got our phones forwarded. We have our emails. We're answering emails and helping businesses every single day. And so please feel free to call us. We've got our site up, lakehouston.org/coronavirus. And that's got info and downloads for the Payment Protection Program, for the CARES Act, for the SBA loans, webinars, all the information that we're getting, we're putting on that main site, which is lakehouston.org/coronavirus. We have, as a chamber, postponed all of our events that we have planned through May 31st, but that doesn't mean we aren't still providing any type of virtual events where we can still give you updates and information. Hopefully you guys received our calendar this morning, but coming up, I want to let you know on April 9th, we do have our e-seminar series, and that's going to be a business financial resources seminar that Mark Mitchell with our EDP is going to provide for you guys. So that's at 9 a.m. and that will be a virtual seminar. It's free, and our presenting sponsor is Minuteman Press. On April 16th at 4:30 for our young entrepreneurs and professionals, we're having a virtual scavenger hunt. So we're looking forward to that. And big thanks to our presenting sponsor, Stander and Company, for being our program sponsor of our Young Entrepreneurs and Professionals program. On April 28th at noon, we are still having our State of Lake Houston luncheon, but we are calling it a lunch-in instead of a luncheon. I can see your eye rolls right now with that, but The lunch bin idea is that you order lunch from a local restaurant and eat while you watch our State of Lake Houston presentation. We've got Pat Jankowski. He is the regional economist and vice president of research at Greater Houston Partnership, and he's going to be doing an economic update and an economic forecast for the Greater Houston area. We are still lining up other speakers, area officials that are going to talk about what's going on in our area as well. So that's going to be a great luncheon, and big thanks to our presenting sponsors, Community Impact Newspapers and First Financial Bank. We appreciate that. We are going to push out a new business survey. We had a survey that we had issued about a month ago, a preliminary survey, but we need to know what's going on with your business right now. So that's going to be coming out next week, and we really need our businesses to take this survey. We use the information and the data to develop new programs to get those resources and make them available to you. So that's important for us to know how we can best help you. We're also sharing the information from our businesses with our elected officials. This is a good way for them to quickly check the pulse of our business community and know what's going on. And so we're proud to partner with our elected officials to let them know what our businesses are saying. So please make sure that you take that survey. I hope you've seen our LHA Open for Biz campaign. One of the great things about what's going on right now is everybody's community support rallying around small business. And it started from the get-go, and it's still that spirit of recovery from Harvey that we're seeing, that we're so proud of, that everybody knows how important it is to support local businesses. So please, when you make a purchase, whether that's online, if you're getting food delivered, if you're having any type of virtual meeting with the business, post about it, tag that business, and put the hashtag LHA Open for Biz. That's really important so that everybody knows we need to support local and continue to do that. We do have an exciting announcement that's going to come out hopefully next week. We are partnering with Lift Fund, and Lift Fund is a 501c3 nonprofit financial lender. I don't want to steal too much of Mark Mitchell's thunder because he's going to talk about that a little bit more later. But you may recall we partnered with Lift Fund after Harvey to do the Harvey business loans, the 0% interest loans after Hurricane Harvey. We had many businesses that participated in that. We are partnering with them again, and we actually have staff, chamber staff is being trained by Lift Fund that will be able to help and assist with that whole process getting started so that you can apply for those loans. I do want to let you know that there is business counseling through Lone Star College, SBDC. We have a new business advisor for our area, Migdalia Gomez. We'll be introducing you guys to her coming up in the next week. You can go to lonestar.edu/SBDC and set up a virtual appointment. And I think this is going to be big moving forward, making sure that you're getting your questions answered and helping develop that recovery plan that our businesses are going to need. So we are working to partner with them moving forward to have an SBDC counselor in our office once that stay-at-home work-safe order is lifted and it's safe to do so. So hopefully we will be making that announcement that we've got someone in our office whenever all things are ready, just like we did after Hurricane Harvey. One of the last things I wanted to leave you with is yesterday, April 1st, was Census Day. Census 2020 launched, and it's very important. You're at home right now. You can log on to census2020.gov, and you can participate in the census, and this is extremely important. The census provides information, and that's how communities plan for their future, our school districts plan for their future, and the representation that we have on the government level, federal and state and local. So it's extremely important while you're at home now, and you can count everybody that's living in your household very easily. Look around and count everybody in your house and go on to census2020.gov and enter that information. What this kind of does, it ensures the public services and funding for schools hospitals, and fire departments. It helps plan new homes and businesses and improve neighborhoods. We get lots of calls into our economic development partnership that says, why don't you get XYZ business or XYZ restaurant? They look at that census data and determine who has the right market for them. So we need everybody to participate in the census so they know how many people are here and can make those decisions. It also determines how many seats that we have with our state legislature and our House of Representatives. So that's another important reason to go on, and I can't push that hard enough. Go on and fill that out. It just takes a couple of minutes. In conclusion, please email us. You can email chamber@Jenna.org. We'll answer your questions. And one final shout out, I want to say hello to my kids who are currently away at boarding school in East Texas at my parents' farm, where my mom is serving as headmaster, and I just let her know that her contract got extended earlier this week. She's really excited about that. But hey guys, love you, miss you. Can't wait to see you soon. Thanks.
One of the most important things is portal, especially because it's here flooded during Harvey. We need to make sure, they were just coming back. So great information. Thank you, Jenna. Next up on our list today, we have Dr. Elizabeth Fagan. She's the superintendent of Humble ISD. Dr. Fagan?
Thank you very much for having me. This is a really unprecedented set of circumstances, and I think that Humble ISD is working really hard every single day to meet the needs of our students, regardless of the fact that they are not on our campuses anymore. So we have 6 sites propped up that are serving thousands of meals, and we're doing that between 10 and 11 every day. Families can pull through. They do need to have their children in the car. That's a requirement of the Texas Department of Agriculture for us to be able to serve those meals. But if you pull up and it's really simple, you just say, I need 2. Any child 1 to 18 or children who are still in our programming because of special needs beyond 18, they're all welcome to receive those free meals from Humble ISD. So all that information is posted on our website, and I just need to say thank you to all the food service, bus drivers, warehouse folks. I mean, this is a really big endeavor that they've taken on, changed the way we order food, package food, deliver food, maintain social distancing. We have all kinds of protocols for the people that are participating so that we don't have any kind of spread of the virus. Beyond all of that, our teachers have started the 4th quarter this week. We send out information on grading to all families, and really that's most impactful for our high school families. Our middle and elementary, as you know, grading is not a GPA adventure that sticks with you at that level. And so really we're focusing on learning and learning differently, trying strategies, things that we would love to have in place in normal times, because we have no STAR testing, we have no EOCs, we have none of those things that can be really difficult for our teachers to work around. So we are also in the process of distributing devices to children who have let us know that they don't have a device beyond, or some have no devices and some don't have any device beyond their family's phone at the elementary level. So in any case, we're working through that process right now, and have gotten out devices to our staff members who left their devices on the campus or whatever, and we've made sure that they have what they need. We have professional development going on all the time for our teachers, so that they can use new tools, use new strategies, get ideas from one another. It's been really positive, and in addition to all of that, big folks like Comcast have stepped up and provided 2 months of free internet service to all low-income families. The same is true from other internet industries, which has really helped us out a lot, because what we have to focus on is the device side of it. And just for representation of information, we have about 45,000 students, actually more than that, and about 1,700 said they didn't have a device. So proportionately, our students are connected, doing well, and we're getting out those other devices right now. And so we're feeling really positive about what we're able to do and connect with, everything from parades to online learning opportunities. My 4th grader was up at 8 a.m. doing her Zoom class meeting There have been some weird things happen on Zoom, and the company is working through that because nationwide people are using Zoom to connect, just like we are today. So I think that's kind of the overview of where we are. We are closed through May 1st per the governor and the county judge's orders. Those are campus closed. The only piece that's really open at all are our middle school tracks, our elementary playgrounds, not the equipment. I understand from some experts that UV light kills the coronavirus, but we have been instructed not to allow people to play on the playground equipment anyway. And so our police department is patrolling that. And also basketball courts, they're a big no basketball games. I guess it's about transmission of body fluids on the basketball itself. And so nonetheless, we are patrolling that and participating in the judge's order as well as the governor's to maintain that social distancing piece. We are on daily calls with TEA and also the health groups to understand the spread of the virus and what's happening right here in Houston. It's my understanding that we even have some nurse practitioners traveling to New York to support what's going on there because Houston is, at this point, I would call it, because of the protocols we have in place in the community that we have working together to participate in social distancing, it's fairly under control. I hesitate to say that, but that's sort of what you heard from the congressman too, so I'll just back him up. I think that's about it, though, for Humble ISD. We plan on continuing. We're getting a lot of questions, of course, about graduation and prom. Those are iconic events, and there are a lot of seniors and their families who are really hopeful that the year does not end without those two events, and we're very committed to figuring out whatever we're going to be able to do as long as these executive orders are in place of no groups more than 10 or no groups more than 2. That's what we're hearing. There's just no way we could have either one of those things. However, if that changes going forward and there is the possibility of really embracing the notion of UV lights, perhaps we'll be able to have something at Turner Stadium later, postponement. We're just really not sure right now. So what we're doing is we're waiting for more information and we're brainstorming various scenarios, best and worst case, that we can offer up when the time comes and the opportunity arises. And finally, I would just say this. Some people have asked questions about, do you think we'll go back and this and that? Honestly, I just don't know. This is a rapidly developing situation. I think that whatever happens, we're going to have to think very differently from now until the end of the school year. So one of the things that we're talking about, if there's any way that we can provide any kind of closure to the year, we're really interested in that. Particularly for transition students, 5th graders, 8th graders, and seniors. Maybe it's, we've been talking about everything from 20% on Monday and 20% on Tuesday and 20% on Wednesday, just whatever might be possible, excluding anybody with those secondary health conditions so that they don't have, they're not compelled in any way to put themselves at risk. So I think it's important to say those things because I know that those are the items that are in a lot of students and families' minds. And the only thing I can offer at this point is that we understand the importance. We're talking about every single possibility while we simultaneously work to continue to feed our students and educate them for the rest of the year. Graduation requirements are in full swing. Students will graduate who are on track to graduate. We're not concerned about that. Students with unique circumstances will be contacted by counselors. And from there, we're just going to have to see what the information brings and what we are advised by both the county judge as well as the governor.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fagan. We appreciate you joining us today. You're doing an amazing job, and we look forward to helping spread the news on behalf of Humble ISD.
Thanks so much, and we have been encouraging folks to support their local businesses if they're able. The business community is such a wonderful partner to Humble ISD, and so we want to make sure that for folks who are able, that they do get out there and go through the drive-through and participate in that economic piece to the extent possible.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm not Jennifer Carney, as you can see. We were having some technical difficulties, so I'm going to be filling Jennifer's shoes and moderating through the rest of the program. So I apologize in advance that you're stuck with me. But moving right along, we've got Terry Vaughn. He is a district manager for Walgreens, and you want to talk about someone that has been working overtime, making sure that everyone has their drugs, quite frankly, and any needs that they have. He has been working nonstop. Our board chair this year, too, for the chamber, but he's going to give us an update on the COVID-19 situation and healthcare updates for our area. Harry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jenna. I really appreciate it. So, I wanted to share a little bit of information today that I got from some reputable sites. So, Harris County, according to Johns Hopkins University, has 847 confirmed cases of COVID-19 as of this morning, and 6 deaths. And I did a little more studying, and according to Rice University, we have 1,500 ICU beds and 19,000 staff beds in Harris County. And they also cite a 50% typical bed utilization rate here in our county. So, as the congressman and Dr. Fagan said, at this particular point in time here in Harris County and in the state of Texas, our healthcare is working really hard to handle the influx of patients, but we have a lot of the resources that we need to make that happen. I don't have any official statements from our local hospitals, but I do know that they're working tirelessly to screen patients and employees and protect the health of both their patients and their employees. PPE has been an issue for hospitals across the globe, and it will remain a top priority as we move forward. Really encouraging with different companies that are ramping up production and working to help provide that. But that will be something that we will continue to be focusing on as we move throughout this pandemic. I'd like to talk a little bit about another segment of healthcare workers, and that's those pharmacists and technicians working hard to provide the medications that we need to both get well and stay healthy. At Walgreens, we're changing our ways of working to adapt to our new normal in this environment. Much like HEB and Kroger, we've implemented social distancing guidelines with decals or tape on the floor and instructing people where to stand. We now offer select grocery, health, and cleaning items available through our drive-thrus, so patients and customers don't have to get out of their car and risk exposure to themselves or any of the other customers or our employees. We've temporarily waived our fees for next-day prescription delivery. There are some restrictions. Some prescriptions cannot be shipped, so you can see our website for details there, but that's a way to get your medication without ever having to leave your home. Those are being FedExed out and arrive next day, and like I said, we're waiving that fee. We've also waived shipping fees on Walgreens.com orders, so you can order some of your over-the-counter things and things you might need, have that shipped to your house with no shipping fee as well. And like many grocers and other retailers, we're offering a senior day on Tuesdays from 8 to 9 with a 20 to 30% discount on all non-sale items for all day for those seniors, and we're including caregivers in that as well. So we're also calling our seniors to check in on them. Our pharmacists are taking that on and informing them of these new services. As we know, the seniors are one of the most at-risk populations here, and we just want to make sure they know there are options to still get the things that they need without having to expose themselves to unnecessary risk. Even more rigorous cleaning standards have been put in place across the entire industry, whether that's the hospitals, the grocery stores, the pharmacies. We were already maintaining, a clean environment, but we really stepped up those efforts. And that's to ensure the health and safety of our community and our employees. One of the things I wanted to talk about is, you might be asking yourself, what can you do to protect yourself during this trying time? So first, if you absolutely don't have to go out of your home, don't. There's plenty of ways that you can get food delivered with Uber Eats and DoorDash and Postmates and all those other great things. There's ways you can get your groceries, delivered for you, especially if you order them in plenty of time. I already mentioned how to get your medication delivered. So if you don't have to go out, don't. Secondly, wash your hands often with soap and water. Hand sanitizer is a good alternative when hand washing with soap and water is not an option, but washing your hands with soap and water often is the number one thing that you can do. if you do go out, try to avoid touching counters and other high-touch surfaces. You can use Apple Pay or other touchless forms of payment to keep from having to touch, debit card, pin pads, and those types of things, or handling cash. Follow social distancing guidelines. This is really important. We get a lot of people in and out of the stores every day, and some are really good stewards of this, and some are not. So what we're asking the public is, if you do get out, avoid prolonged contact within 6 feet of others. If there's a mark on the floor where you should be standing to wait in line, please stand on that mark on the floor. If you can, utilize drive-throughs or curbside pickup. The healthcare workers and the retail workers out there, they really need your support and your prayers. They go to work every day serving patients and customers with the knowledge that they can contract this disease and bring it home to their loved ones. But they get up every day and go anyway because they're thankful to be able to work. There are many people out there that can't right now. And the services and products they provide are crucial to the health and well-being of our entire community. So my ask to you is, next time you see a nurse or a doctor, next time you check out with a cashier, or you go get your prescription filled, take a moment and thank those people for getting up and coming to work and being there for the needs of our community. Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you to Walgreens and everybody that's out there working right now. We certainly appreciate it, and very glad that you took time out today to talk with us. All right, moving right along, we've got Mark Mitchell. He is the president of our Lake Houston Economic Development Partnership, and he's going to highlight some small business financial resources. Mark, thanks for being here with us today. And you're on mute. I wasn't the only one, so.
How about that? Is that better? Good. Well, number one, I hope everyone is safe, and if you're a non-essential or at home, getting to know your family members a little bit better. Congressman Crenshaw went over some of the big programs in terms of small business assistance and resources. I want to dig into those a little bit more granularly as we move forward. And one program we haven't talked about just yet is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and it's essentially called the EIDL loan. It was part of the second piece of legislation that was pushed forward and pushed out to businesses here in terms of both Congress and the Senate, and the President signed it here a few weeks ago. The Economic Injury Loan is actually an existing program inside the SBA. Because all 50 states and the U.S. territories have essentially been designated as disaster areas, all 50 states and those territories have access to this particular program. So it's an online program. You'll go to the specific SBA portal to actually make application. And this program is essentially more for operations and working capital. So the program is essentially up to $2 million. Interest rate can be 3.75 for businesses and 2.75 for nonprofits. There's a credit elsewhere component to this. So essentially, they will look at whether you've got access to other capital in the marketplace. And so that's going to be softened a little bit for the COVID-19 aspect of this. The credit elsewhere is waived for loans less than $200,000. My recommendation with this program as businesses sit right now is to actually go ahead and apply. There is a $10,000 advance grant component to this program. So make application. Even if you're not eligible or deemed eligible for the broader program, you can still get that $10,000 essentially emergency advance for your business to keep the lights on, keep the doors open, and keep the process moving forward. So, and you're not required to pay that emergency advance. So my recommendation is apply in terms of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Now understand, these programs are not mutually exclusive, but they cannot be overlapped in terms of funding. So if you're going to use money with the EIDL program, it has to be separate from the program that Congressman Crenshaw talked about earlier, the Payroll Protection Program. Those dollars cannot be used for the same uses. So under the payroll or the Paycheck Protection Program, that's exactly what it is. It's designed to keep people attached to their employer, and it's essentially designed as a stopgap until we're allowed out of our homes and back into the marketplace. The program for PPP essentially is a 4% interest rate. Deferrals can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months, and all the loans will have some level of deferral. The banks have been given discretion right now to set up their own criteria internally. So as you're going out to talk to your specific lender, they're going to differ a little bit from bank to bank to bank. Some banks are saying that we're only going to offer this PPP program to our existing customers. Other banks are set, primed, and ready to take on folks, whether they're customers or not. So the actual great thing about this program is the forgivable component to it. So as long as you spend dollars on payroll, insurance related to payroll, rent, mortgage interest, utilities, those are all essentially eligible expenses to make your loan essentially a grant and make it forgivable. And as long as after 8 weeks you spend those dollars, you can go back to your bank with that documentation and they can essentially convert that from a loan to a forgivable grant. So, and we may have additional questions as we go through this, but again, eligible entities are sole proprietors, contractors, self-employed, nonprofits. They've making exceptions for franchisors that have multiple units across the country to get around the essential 500 employee provision in that. So again, they've been really, really flexible in terms of making these dollars available. There was a question earlier in terms of when you can apply. There's an opening this Friday for applications, and then next Friday is going to be for sole proprietors, self-employed, and contractors. So again, 4/3 is actually open to regular businesses, and then April 10th is going to be open to the self-employed, sole proprietors, and contract employees. The other thing I want to talk about too is that there are lots of other resources available in terms of what we're looking at right now. And so Jenna briefly mentioned Lift Fund. They're a CDFI lender. They cover 13 states. They are well-versed in disaster recovery efforts. They were a huge component in not only providing loans to our small businesses at zero or low interest, they were also instrumental in helping us secure foundational funding as a match to help us run our small business disaster recovery program as well. So long-time organization, actually headquartered in San Antonio, Texas, 13-state footprint. They make loans up to $5 million to small business. They're in discussions right now trying to get foundations to provide them with additional grant funding to provide those same zero interest and low interest loans for our small businesses. And they will work with you even if you've received an EIDL loan or a PPP program loan as well. Another thing that we've talked about is the SBA has more than just the EIDL loan and the PPP program. They offer 504 loans. They offer 7A loans. So they offer a myriad of services. They actually offer $25,000 and $35,000 bridge loans. So just don't look at these particular COVID-19 finance opportunities. They've got a little bit more opportunity for you moving forward. Another thing that we've not really talked about is the SBA is offering loan deferrence, and they're offering loan deferrence for microloans, for 504s, and for existing disaster loans. Some of those deferrals will be automatic, but I would recommend understanding what existing loans you've got out right now with the SBA and making contact and seeing how that deferral process is going to work. And typically those deferrals are 6-month deferrals. And so they defer both the principal and interest for those particular opportunities. Another thing that we haven't talked about is the employee, the COVID-19 employee retention credit. You can't access that program and access the Paycheck Protection Program, but that's another program we'll make available, and it's already on our website in terms of just a programmatic application process as well. And that's essentially a 50% reduction of what you're essentially paying into the federal government, and it is refundable. So over the course of the year between now and the end of the year, you can actually look at what you're paying in payroll, and actually that can be applied to that particular refundable credit opportunity. SBDC was mentioned earlier as far as business counseling. SCORE is out there in terms of business counseling as well. Definitely talk to your banks, your FDIC, and existing 7A lenders. Primarily, most lending institutions will be able to do the Paycheck Protection Program. But again, each one is going to be specific to their own bank. So reach out to your bank, reach out to your lending institutions, and get a firmer understanding of how they're going to go about doing this. Again, I mentioned some banks are only going to offer this up to their existing customers, while other banks are prepared and ready to open this up to all potential customers, both existing and non-customers right now. And last but not least, call your chambers, call your local economic development corporations. They have serve as a clearinghouse and a warehouse for all this information to make it easier for you to access these different programs that are out there right now. And then that's my time. We've covered a lot of this already earlier, but there are significant programs out there available to you. Call us and go to our website, and we'll make that information readily available to you and assist you as best we can moving forward. So God bless.
All right, thank you, Mark, for that. And like I said, we are here. Mark's been answering phone calls and emails, asking for help and asking for more information. And we are very happy to be able to provide that to everyone. Thank you, Mark, for being here and for helping our businesses. So moving right along, we've got our final speaker. Maybe we saved the best for last here, and we're glad to have Nicholas Stander. He's a CPA with Stander & Company, and I know I've talked to him several times this week asking for advice. So we're glad to have him here and to share him with everyone and share his wealth of knowledge that he has on taxes, and he's going to be telling us about filing deadlines and updates.
Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate it. It's exciting. I get to talk about tax relief instead of just tax bills. So, there were 3 big developments that came out over the last couple of weeks. The first was the movement of the tax deadline. It's being described as an extension, but it's really a movement of the due date from April 15th to July 15th. So that's not only the filing of your taxes, that's also the payments. And so you will not be late if you're holding off on any of those payments for April 15th like you would normally pay in, or if you're making quarterly payments. This applies to everyone who had something due on April 15th, so individuals, trusts, states, corporations, and potentially anybody who had self-employment tax, so those Schedule C filers. On top of that, there's also the extension process is being reported that it's going to remain in place as well. So you would be able to contact your accountant and still have that 6-month extension filed. So potentially that due date for you for filing of the actual paperwork could be the 6 months after that, but the payment would still be due on July 15th. If you're due a refund, the IRS is still open. They're still processing returns. And so it's probably in your best, it's probably best for you to go ahead and make that filing and get into line, and those refunds are coming out in about 2 weeks. The second big item was accessibility to defined contribution plans. And so for most of us, that's going to be your 401k. If you're under the retirement age, impacted individuals will have the ability to tap into those retirement plans up to $100,000 without facing that 10% penalty. On top of that, they are also allowing us to take that as a 3-year tax period, meaning that we'll be able to stretch it out over the next 3 years. And so that $100,000 that would normally bump you up in tax brackets we'll be able to spread that out so it has less of an impact. They're also waiving the 20% required withholding on that. So typically when you would have taken any sort of distribution from a 401k, for example, there would have been a minimum 20% federal tax withholding. And so that money would have been shorted. What was deposited in your account would have been, taxes already would have been paid on that. That's been waived for right now until the end of the year. And then the last piece are loans. Loans from your 401k have been moved from $50,000 limits up to $100,000 limits, and that's going to be opening for about 180 days is what's being currently reported, beginning on April 1st. So that happened yesterday. There's some miscellaneous items. The third one is just a grouping of a couple of little things, but there's some depreciation. So for small businesses that have made some qualified property improvements, the government is going to allow for us to depreciate that in year 1, and so that'll give us some tax benefits in early next year. The charitable contributions that you make have been moved as well. And so that was a Schedule A deduction, and they're going to allow us to move that to what we call above the line, so before your adjusted gross income. That means that it's going to have a bigger impact for you, and so make sure that you're doing what you can. If you have that extra money, take care of those 501c3s around this. Not net operating losses. In the last tax update, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, they put some restrictions around how we are allowed to handle net operating losses. Those have been waived. The 80% limitation has been lifted, and those losses now can be brought back 5 years on your books. And so it may make sense for you to go in and refile some of those tax returns from prior years. And then lastly, the SBA is focused on the small business items, but certainly don't want to forget about the farmers and ranchers that are out there. The agricultural department has their bailout program has been moved from $30 billion to $50 billion, and so there's opportunities out there. So thank you. I know it's a lot of data. I was trying to go through it quickly, but as it continues to update, this is the most current information that we have. It's changing every single day, and so we'll keep updating the website, try to keep the chamber up to date.
Great. Thank you, Nicholas. We certainly appreciate it, and I appreciate your time here with us today. That is going to wrap up our very first inaugural virtual Kingwood Bizcom, and we're glad that we had you here today. A couple of announcements. Our next Bizcom is planned for May 7th, so we look forward to doing this again with you virtually. Kingwood Bizcoms that are planned upcoming are going to be August 6th and December 3rd. And of course, we have to give much love and a big thanks to our sponsors of our Kingwood Bizcom series. Kingwood Bizcom, the presenting sponsors, our First Financial Bank, and HCA Houston Healthcare Kingwood. And we know everybody over at HCA has been working around the clock, and we just want to say thank you and we appreciate you. We also have gold sponsors, Chick-fil-A Kingwood, Great Harvest Bread Company, HEB Kingwood, McAlpine Interest, and Insperity. Thank you. Those are very great community supporters, and please tell them thank you next time that you see them. As well as our silver sponsors, Champion Reading of Kingwood, Harley Davidson of Kingwood, K&S Sportswear, Smart Financial Credit Union, and TrueWin Enterprises. So please remember, you can log on to lakehouston.org. You can find our events. You can go to lakehouston.org/coronavirus to find updates. And we truly appreciate everyone being here with us today. Stay safe and stay
Hello,
healthy.
fellow Texans.
Thank you.
I'm Craig Boyan, president of HEB. We've gotten many comments from you on social media and through our call lines about how we're doing through this crisis, what you're worried about, and the key issues we need to address to better serve you. Of course, product availability and out of stocks is on everyone's mind. So today we'll cover some of the things we're doing to stock our stores and to get you the products that you need. And now let's meet Louisa, who leads many of our grocery categories, including toilet paper, which has become one of the major stories of this crisis around the country and at HEB. Louisa, we continue to have major surges in demand for toilet paper and paper towels, leading to significant out of stocks in paper products. Why are we seeing the surge in demand, and what are the trends you're seeing here at HEB?
The panic appeared to start on social media, and I think people became scared that they wouldn't find their paper products again. At HEB, in toilet paper, we sold in 2 weeks what we would normally sell in 2 months. We're also seeing an increase in paper towel usage as a key item for cleaning and maintaining good hygiene. But customers, I ask you, please don't panic. Don't buy more than what you need, as we're doing all we can to get more product to Texas and faster.
So what are we doing about this at HEB?
We have implemented limits. We're temporarily not accepting returns in many household items to discourage the hoarding. We're spreading our supply across all our stores. Customers, it's not all gone. We know the shelves are often empty, but we're shipping paper to stores every day. We're shipping more paper than ever before, and we're working to get more. Help us help you. Please don't buy more than what you need so we can catch up and all our customers have access to product.
So how can HEB help get Texans more paper products?
We're working with our supplier partners very closely, and we appreciate all they've done in partnership with HEB. Paper mills are highly automated and high-tech process, so the machines are always running and continue to run. It's very impressive technology. However, it's not easy to double the supply on an operation that already was running efficiently 24/7. One thing we've done is reduce the assortment in paper categories. In our own brand line, H-E-B Our Finest Products, we reduced the number of sizes we are asking our suppliers to manufacture. That way we can minimize changes and maximize the number of rolls through their mills. You might not see every size and every brand, but it will help us get to normal faster by focusing on key items. We're also adding different brands that we haven't carried before to expand our supply of paper for our customers. Please know that we're shipping paper products every day and working hard to get you what you need. Please care for your fellow Texan so we can get through this together.
Thank you, Louisa. And I don't think any of us would have expected bath tissue to be the most urgent thing that people are rushing to buy. And we all appreciate your team and our suppliers' efforts to get us back in stock. We really appreciate everybody's efforts in this. Now, let's talk about our perishable categories that are so important in feeding your family. I'm here with Kyle, who leads our produce business. Thanks for being here, Kyle.
Thanks, Craig. You know, our perishable teams and our produce buying team have been working around the clock to keep fresh products stocked in our stores. Some people have asked me, are we going to run out of food? The answer is no. Last week, we shipped 1 million more cases of produce than we normally do. We might not have every variety of apple or every flavor of salad we typically carry, but we are stocked full of fresh, wholesome produce and a wide array of perishables across our fresh departments.
Kyle, we had many shortages across all our perishable categories a week or two ago. But we've made amazing progress this past week. What are you and our other perishable teams doing to adapt and get back in stock so quickly?
A couple of weeks ago, we made a difficult decision to stop shipping products to our floral, bakery, and deli departments, and we closed most of our service counters. We did that to use all the capacity of our warehouse selectors and trucks to ship out max amounts of produce, meat, seafood, and groceries to help get Texans the food they need. With this and other moves, we've made major progress in getting back in stock across our perishables and food categories, with more to come this week.
It's been amazing to see, and I'm especially proud of our supply chain teams that are adjusting every single day as we're shipping up to 50% more trucks each day to improve our in-stock conditions. Our supply chain teams in Temple, San Marcos, Weslaco, Corpus, Houston, and San Antonio are doing a great job getting you the products that you need. Another compelling example of inspiring partners is in our meat plant, which is now operating around the clock and is shipping almost 2 million pounds of meat more per week than normal. Even for Texas, that's a lot of meat. And I'm very proud of our market buyers, our in-store meat teams, our meat cutters, wrappers, and our market managers in every store in all of their efforts to get us back in stock. Now, Kyle, talk about why we kept the service seafood counters open and not some of the other service counters.
Yes, Craig. So our seafood team chose to keep service seafood open to support Lent, and our bakery and deli teams are doing a great job using direct store deliveries to get back in business, while our floral team is working with third-party trucks to help us bring Easter lilies in for Easter and to support Mother's Day.
Texans, we've all been through hurricanes and crises together. This crisis is larger, more uncertain, and most likely longer than any of those. The reality is things are changing every day, and we all need to adapt accordingly.
We must all work together to adapt during these times. Please care for each other. Texas neighbors helping neighbors.
And if you're able, please find a way to support your local businesses during this crisis, especially the restaurants around the state. Most of them are still open for takeout and delivery. Please know that H-E-B is here for you and committed to helping you take care of Texas and your family. Together, we will get through this. Thank you. Hello, fellow